I can hear you. It's so great to be with all of you, and I'm thrilled to bring in our next guest. John Rogers is the founder, chairman, and co-CEO of Ariel Investment based in Chicago. He is also the man who built the first African-American owned money management firm in the country.
Fantastic. The floor is yours.
John Rogers, thank you very much for being with me today.
Great to be here.
For anyone who doesn't know, you built the first African-American owned money management firm in the country, and your story and your history and your family's legacy is so intertwined with how you got here. So I'd actually like to begin there if we could. Your father was a Tuskegee Airman, your mom the first Black woman to graduate from the University of Chicago Law School, and your family was in that fight, the Supreme Court fight, to really relieve restrictive covenants. When you think about that history in the context of the racial reckoning we're living in this moment, how do you think about it in the morning when you get up and fight your fight?
Well, I realize as I get older how much I appreciate my family and how much they fought for fairness and inclusion and economic justice. And they were always willing to speak out and talk about things that were unfair and be very vocal and clear about that. And it actually starts with my great-grandfather who owned the Stratford Hotel in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that got burned down 99 years ago. And then my grandfather helping to put the case together at the Supreme Court to ease restrictive covenants in this country. Yeah. And then as you were kind to mention my mom and my dad as pioneers. So it's an inspiration for me to feel like in the spirit of John Lewis that we have a responsibility when we see things that are unfair and unjust to speak out. And we have a moral responsibility to speak up and speak out.
Yeah, to get in good trouble, right?
Exactly.
So if we could go through the 3 Ps, what every leader needs to know about your recommendation on philanthropy, people, and purchasing. What do they need to do?
Well, thank you for mentioning that. The 3 Ps came from the conference that we started roughly 18 years ago for African Americans that are on corporate boards. And we thought it was important for those leaders to leave the conference with a message and a can-do attitude to be able to change what's happening in corporate America. And so we came up with the 3 Ps. And as Melody Hobson often says, the first P, philanthropy, is important. We want to make sure that money is going to historically Black colleges and civil rights organizations and progressive organizations. But philanthropy is not the entire answer.
Right.
We think most importantly, you have to create real wealth for Black leaders and Black businesses, because then we'll be able to create our own philanthropy, create our own role models. And we think that's critically important if you want to bring change to our society and have our urban communities be the kind of communities that they deserve to be. So the second P is purchasing. The idea that we want to have companies spending money with African-American businesses in everything we do, outside of the traditional supplier diversity of construction and catering, which is important, but we want to be included in the parts of the economy where the wealth is created today. Financial services, professional services, and technology. If you look at the Forbes 400, the top wealthiest people are people that are in those industry sectors. And unfortunately, those have been the sectors that have been the most non-inclusive, that have not included us. So we've got to make sure these corporations are spending money, purchasing products across the board, and keep track of that spending by category. So you can see if you're making change each and every year and making progress each and every year. And then the final P is people. And this is important, but everyone, measures people, but we can do a better job of measuring in the C-suites, the CFOs, the general counsels, the CEOs, where we are almost totally left out.
What about Darren Walker's question to all of us about not just philanthropy, but what are we willing to give up, right? And he wrote in the New York Times recently, quote, "If we, the beneficiaries of a system that perpetuates inequality, are trying to reform this system that favors us, we have to be willing to give something up." We saw Alexis Ohanian do it with his board seat at Reddit. Do more leaders from privilege, white leaders, mainly men, need to step aside to make room for real diversity at the top?
That's an interesting comment from Darren, and Darren's a great friend and is a terrific, terrific leader. But I'm not sure that people have to step aside. I think when baseball included Jackie Robinson, baseball became a better sport. He went on to the Hall of Fame. The Dodgers went to the World Series. It was a win-win for the Dodgers as it was a win for Jackie Robinson. So I think we need to make sure that white American leadership in business knows that when they bring diverse talent into the boardroom, it's going to make the organization stronger. We're going to have diverse perspectives, and there's lots of brilliant people of color out there where their ideas have not been able to be fully utilized, and their skills have not been fully utilized. So I'm not sure that people have to think of some kind of a sacrifice. I think by opening up their eyes, they're going to make for a stronger economy, stronger companies, and a stronger America, which will make us more competitive in the world.
Thank you, John Rogers. We could go on for an hour, and I hope one day we will. I appreciate you.
Thank you.